Good morning. Happy Monday. It's great to have you here on KCMO 95.7 FM. We are streaming on a Monday on the KCMO Talk Radio app and at KCMOTalkRadio.com. So, Donald Trump dealing with a second assassination attempt in as many months. This one comes yesterday at the golf club where he was playing down in Palm Beach. Not nearly, obviously, to the level of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, but there was a guy lingering in the woods on the sixth hole, engaged with Secret Service, had an AK-47 style rifle. He makes a run for it. He gets arrested an hour or so later. And now you've got two of these attempts in the last couple of months. So you'd think the media would just try to maybe play it straight. Try to maybe just pretend they have some ability to do real journalism. But why do that? Why bother? Especially on a place like ABC News, where ABC News held the debate last week. I mean, anybody who has a functioning brain knows that ABC was totally in the tank for Kamala Harris last week. Now, that doesn't excuse Donald Trump's poor performance. He could have beaten him 3-on-1, but he got sidetracked on some things, as he oftentimes does. But no matter what, I mean, I don't care who you're voting for. You know what was going on last week with those moderators on ABC. So if you thought they were going to shoot it straight last night, that's certainly not the case. Here they were on the ABC Nightly News, or World News Tonight, I should say.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Shots fired at Donald Trump's golf club in Florida as a former president was nearby. The Secret Service opening fire after spotting a man with an assault-style rifle. One suspect is now in custody. The former president is safe. The details just coming in from West Palm Beach. The Secret Service treating this as a threat against the former president. Agents have detained a suspect and have recovered a weapon. This comes 2 months after the former president survived an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Pierre Thomas and Mary Alice Parks lead tonight's coverage. Also tonight, Springfield, Ohio on edge. Local schools are being threatened with violence, and a college shuts down activities after threats were made following the baseless rumors that Haitian immigrants have been eating pets. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance defends spreading those claims. The Ohio governor calls the rumors garbage and says the immigrants are here to work.
It's amazing. Yeah, Trump was almost killed, but hey, did you hear about the pets that are getting harassed and unfairly talked about in Springfield, Ohio? I know Donald Trump may have almost been killed for the second time in 2 months, but come on. Old Skippy there in Springfield is getting unfairly targeted, okay? Skippy needs a little love too now. I love dogs, but come on, are you kidding me? The way that they tie these two things together. That was Lindsay Davis, by the way, who was David Muir's co-anchor for that debate last week. So she amazingly pivots right from a second Trump assassination to attempts of basically implicitly attacking Trump for what they call, obviously, rumors and triggering threats of violence in Springfield, Ohio. It's amazing how they can just say, yeah, this, but that. So that was ABC last night. Lester Holt on NBC's Nightly News, not much better.
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
Lester, simply put, Springfield, Ohio has been inundated by threats. Over the last several days, closing government buildings, schools, hospitals. Today, effectively closing a local university campus after administrators said someone threatened a mass shooting targeting Haitians. This in light of, officials say, a false online conspiracy theory alleging Haitian immigrants in that city are eating people's pets.
So what's the implication there? Donald Trump is doing this to himself. I mean, if Trump just stopped talking about the pets in Ohio, which, by the way, I think he should do, as I've laid out for the last 3 days. But the notion that he's somehow directly or indirectly responsible for this, listen to how Lester Holt sets that up. A second assassination attempt against Donald Trump as the rhetoric increases from Donald Trump's camp regarding Springfield, Ohio. You see what they're saying? A plus B equals C. Donald Trump deals with another assassination attempt because of rhetoric that they are attributing to him, and therefore the real victims here are not Donald Trump. They're the people in Springfield, Ohio. It's truly amazing levels of gaslighting, but at the same time, it's also very much on brand and par for the course. It's one of these things that you look at and you say, okay, like, I get it. I know you guys have bias, but now you're not even hiding it, right? They're not even like pretending to give you straight news. Hey, you are hours removed from Donald Trump dealing with a second assassination attempt. All I want is the who, what, where, when, why. That's it. Who's involved? Who's the guy? Where? Obviously. The what? Okay, we all know the what, the assassination attempt. And then maybe you can dabble into the why behind this person's assassination attempt. Like, who is this guy? What's his online footprint? We know who he's donated to. But they immediately want to spin it forward to be like, yeah, this happened, but it's all everything's Trump's fault anyway. That's it. It's all his fault. It's all on him. The rhetoric has increased on his end, and therefore he can blame nobody but the man in the mirror. And that's just nonsense. Nonsense. Because what we do know about this individual is that he's a 58-year-old guy from Hawaii. Name is Ryan Wesley Routh. He has a big online footprint that shows he clearly does not like Donald Trump and tweets a lot at Joe Biden, or was tweeting a lot at Joe Biden about, Joe Biden preserving democracy. He has an extensive criminal history and run-ins with police, several arrests, simple drug possession, driving without a license, expired inspections, operating a vehicle with no insurance. He was once arrested after barricading himself in his roofing company's office during a 3-hour standoff after a traffic stop. The guy's nuts, right? The guy's nuts, and he's got a massive criminal background. And that's the kind of stuff that you would expect out of your nightly news broadcast. Your ABC, your NBC, your CBS. Just give me the facts. Don't give me your conjecture and how you're going to spin this thing into somehow it really being the guy's fault who's nearly gotten killed twice in the last couple of months by whacked out people. Can you just give me the news? I mean, heck, I've got MSNBC on this morning, and I know that that's more of an entertainment program than it is a news program, Morning Joe. The best thing about the show is Joe Scarborough's hair. He does have good hair. It's not John Anthony's hair, but he's got good hair. But they've been spending an hour on Springfield, Ohio. That's all they want to talk about. That's all they want to do is somehow tie it all back to that. There is no shame anymore from these people. No shame whatsoever. They have none. They're done pretending like they're going to give you the news straight. And the sooner we realize that, and I know many of us have, but the sooner we realize that even when it comes to situations like this, they can't drop their bias, the better off we're all going to be talking about these folks. Mark, I want to pull this clip here. I just saw this come down the pipeline. This was from Fox and Friends this morning. I will pull it up for you. Something that was said by a former assistant FBI director that you've got to hear. I'm going to put this there for you, Mark, at 8:17. So pull that up. 913-408-7957. Randy is on KCMO. What's happening, Randy?
Hey, when you get into a conversation that gets very heated and very fast, sometimes you got to stop and go back to the baseline. Kamala Harris picked these people up in Haiti, flew them into a town, inundated them with illegal immigrants. These people are not legitimate, and we've lost all that in the whole pet conversation. Whether they're eating pets or not really makes not a difference. They shouldn't be here to begin with.
Well, I mean, I agree, Randy. So why don't we just focus on that, right? I mean, that's
No,
a very...
What I'm saying is we've lost the focus. The focus is the fact that they overwhelmed a community.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, right? Like, why are we doing the whole pet thing? I agree, Randy. Let's just talk about that part of it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's indisputable.
There are rural people that are having contact with Haitian migrants that are trying to get animals from them.
Okay.
That is a fact. They're trying to eat. But here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, too, is let's say they don't get Fluffy the cat. I'm still paying for them to eat and for their housing now.
Well, that's the part, Randy, that's indisputable, right? Taxpayer dollars get used to fund a lot of the movement. We know that you have a town of about 40,000 people that's been inundated with 20,000 individuals. That's entirely unsustainable, even if many are taking jobs and working at factories that other people don't want to do. That's indisputable. So let's stick to the indisputable facts, right, instead of worrying about fluffy. I agree.
Right, exactly. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Randy. I mean, that's like we're coming to the same place, my brother. We are. Trust me, I'm pulling for Fluffy. I don't want Fluffy to go missing. Not a cat guy, but I don't want Fluffy to go missing. I don't want to be sniffing out Fluffy on the charcoal grill next door. I don't want to bother with that. I don't want to sniff that out. But I know what the facts are right now and the indisputable facts, and all the media is doing now is gaslighting you by saying, see, this whole thing is driven by, racist undertones, and we don't have video of Fluffy getting kidnapped and put on the grill like a ballpark Frank, therefore it can't possibly be true. And from that standpoint, they technically do have a point. But what's indisputable is that you cannot flood a community of 40,000 people with 20,000 new folks who need help transitioning to a new country and expect it to not have negative implications on the 40,000 American citizens who are trying to better their lives, right? And that's the part that's getting lost in this, because the media can take their own approach and take their own spin on this thing that makes it seem like, you just don't want to help the migrant worker. And that's simply not true. That's not what this story is ultimately about, John, but they're very good at it.
They called the city manager.
Yeah.
I thought that David Muir fact check. I'm like, you called the city manager, did you?
Oh, David talked to him that day.
Yeah,
exactly right.
It's like Brian Platt here speaks for everything, right?
Yes, of course. That's
city
how it
manager.
works. Yeah, he's the... Have you called the manager? That's right. Come on now.
Perfectly caring thing to do.
Yes.
I want to talk to the manager.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the manager, please. Okay, Mark, let's run the audio. This is from Fox and Friends this morning. Let me get this individual's name, a former assistant FBI director, Chris Schwecker, had this to say this morning about the second assassination attempt against Donald Trump from yesterday in Palm Beach, Florida.
Where is the suspect now? I know he's behind bars, but where?
Well, what we did is we turned him over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So I don't know where he is right now. Okay.
Did he say how did he know that Donald Trump was going to be playing golf? How did he have access to his schedule?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. We are the border county to Palm Beach. You can't get out of their county without coming through ours. But we don't have the intel from the scene there. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to imagine how he got within rifle range of President Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, that, excuse me, this was just dropping here in the last few minutes. That is Martin County Sheriff Will Snyder, who spoke to Fox and Friends this morning. So that's Martin County Sheriff. Martin County is the county over from Palm Beach County, and that's where this guy was ultimately, Ryan Ruth, this guy was ultimately arrested. They had license plate readers, tracked him down. He was arrested over in Martin County, Florida. So that's their sheriff. And what he just said there is the $1 million question is how this guy, Ryan Ruth, knew where Donald Trump was going to be. Now, the former assistant FBI director, Chris Schwecker, he commented publicly, and he is concerned that somebody else could be involved, because how would they know where exactly Donald Trump was going to be and at what time? So there's still a lot of, call it speculation, call it whatever you want, but there was a lot of, and there is, rightfully so, a lot of questions that still need to be answered. Heck, we've got questions about the first one still. We're 2 months out. I mean, outside of Josh Hawley here in Missouri, there's not a lot of questions being asked about it at a very high level, amazingly. So I'm sure they'll get on this one right after they wrap up their investigation on the first one. You've got to be kidding me. But it's also very much on brand and par for the course with how they've gone about their business. I mean, just get to November 5, bury this thing. You are not going to hear much about this after today, I promise you. And that's why it's going to be Donald Trump's job to make sure that this story does not go away. Literally, the guy should do a press conference on this afternoon. Do it right there from the golf course. He should go into the 5th tee box or the 6th tee box. He can do a press conference, and then he can line up, a tee shot and be like, this is my favorite hole, the 6th hole, and I couldn't play it yesterday because people are trying to kill me. Then he, knocks a 250-yard drive out the tee box. Makes a joke about Biden's handicap or something from late June in that debate. Something along those lines. I mean, something that is just pure showmanship, but also gets a very clear point across. There are people out to get me. This is the second time in 2 months this has happened, and we don't have a lot of answers as to why this continues to happen. It's a no-brainer. And if Trump is going to be the messenger that we all believe he's capable of being, and if he can stay on point, then this is absolutely the approach he's got to start taking here. And he's got to start looking at this from. But there's been so many distractions the last couple of weeks. It's like, let me take this gun and just point it right at my toe and go one at a time. It's a coin flip right now. And it doesn't need to be a coin flip right now, but that's unfortunately the situation that we find ourselves in. And it is going to come down to these 7 states that we've all been talking about for so long. So we'll see. But don't let the media bury this thing, just like they did the first time around. Don't let them bury this. You can't.